Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. Tonight, we draw special attention to the diversity of our LGBTQ+ community. Our anchors this evening include a high school student who is 15 years old, a lesbian activist, a transgender television actress, a member of the LGBTQ+ media, and a world traveler. Nowhere else in the world will you find so many viewpoints from the LGBTQ+ community. With that being said, it's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Thursday, March 24th, 2022, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens, you'll see it here. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the partnership between Happening Out Television Network and Hotspots Magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ+ experience. We bring you the best of LGBTQ+ news, entertainment, and support of our community.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's first welcome anchor Evyn Almanzar. Evyn is 15 years old and a high school freshman that has been publicly speaking out for years. Evyn is an advocate for mental health and queer student rights, a lover of riding and nature who often enjoy both at the same time. Evyn said, quote, "On Queer News Tonight, I want to make people hear us as a student body as well as members of the LGBTQ+ community and let them know how they can help," end quote. Evyn was also a member of the Don't Say Gay rally this last February. Welcome, Evyn.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here again.
Great.
So let's welcome anchor John Hayden. John's been a journalist for 27 years and now works for several South Florida outlets, including South Florida's Gay News, covering arts, politics, and philanthropic organizations. He spent the majority of his career covering the stupidity and scandals of Hollywood and has interviewed nearly every big name in TV, movies, and music. Tiffany Haddish once spent 4 whole minutes full-on flirting with him. Sadly, it just wasn't meant to be. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much.
Don't you wonder if Evyn knows who Tiffany Haddish is?
I do.
Do you?
Comedian.
I was sitting
Oh, okay, that's good. She's lovely. I love you, Tiff. See you next time we're at Soya together.
Oh.
Now let's welcome anchor Cindy Brown. She is an icon in the LGBTQ+ community. She was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk, the White Party for Care Resource, and other major events. She has served as the director of Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber Foundation and LGBTQ Visitor Center. She is the founding executive director of Miami Beach Pride and currently serves as the program manager for Jewish Community Services LGBTQ Lambda Living Program for LGBT seniors. Good evening, Cindy.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be the lesbian activist table tonight.
Well, you always need one.
Yeah, well, I'm in great company, right. So I'm looking forward to this. Now let's welcome anchor Rajee Narine-Singh, a famous transgender activist, actress, author, mystic, and reality TV personality. She is of multiracial descent, and she has appeared on more than 35 television shows across the globe. Welcome, Rajee.
Actually, it's 37 now.
Oh, got it.
It's great to be here. I'm playing with you. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today.
Well, let's begin by queering up the USA view. GOP America learns from Florida, as 15 states are now pushing Don't Say Gay. Thanks to the Virginia governor's race that was won by Glenn Youngkin and Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, the GOP has found a successful strategy to win elections, turn LGBTQ+ kids into villains. By attacking students in the name of quote-unquote parental rights and protecting other children, the GOP base gets riled up and out to vote, even those without children of their own. That's why 15 states other than Florida are now pursuing bills similar to Don't Say Gay that restrict discussion of LGBTQ+ issues in school. Florida sets a unique legacy for America.
And, you know, as Florida goes, so goes the nation, has been happening for decades now. And I just hope that the pendulum is swinging so far to the right, it'll get people activated to get out of their houses and vote for progressive candidates who are going to welcome everybody.
To that note, I have to say right out of the gate, that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And the reason is because the GOP radical front that created this, the think tanks, focused on kindergarten to third grade. Well, for the radical base, they're going to say, of course you shouldn't talk about gay in kindergarten. But of course, there is no conversation about gay in kindergarten, but they started the process in a highly effective way, so it's likely not going away.
Well, I keep thinking about my 4-year-old self and the kids calling me faggot and sissy. And, you know, kids like that, like where it's, oh, you can't discuss or even mention the word and how it could affect the person. But hey, maybe we can use it against them. Oh, you know, the kids that are bullying and saying faggot and sissy, we can say, oh, no, no, no. Don't say gay. You know, we can turn it around.
Well, unfortunately, the bill doesn't
Yeah,
address
I know,
the children in school.
Right.
But this is cut and paste legislation.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
hive mind thinking. Like you said, one of the think tanks, probably American Enterprise Institute or Heritage Foundation,
Right.
they come up with this and then they send it out.
Yep.
A Republican in a particular state slaps their name on it and submits it in the bill. One particularly egregious one where they didn't just cut and paste is Tennessee, where they are saying now K through 12. Nothing.
Now, see, that's
absolutely
horrible.
ridiculous because
That's
sex
horrible.
education needs to be comprehensive. Sex education, and it needs to be, and we need gay student alliances, gay straight alliances, and things like that in schools. I'm assuming you agree?
Oh, no, absolutely. Because right now, Florida is definitely pushing the sort of sex ed that is not comprehensive at all. It's more so like abstinence plus. That's not, what information is that sharing? And they're trying to, like they said, as a quote, is they're turning the LGBTQ kids into villains. Hold on, let me get my horns out.
Right.
Because the issue is when it's K through 3, those are prime years for social development.
Exactly.
When you're teaching these kids that they can't talk about these things, they grow into these mindsets of like, we don't have the space to talk about it, so no one can talk about it.
And you can't talk about it because it's bad.
You know,
How are we getting anywhere?
A perfect example of what you just illustrated is the first grader that brings in the picture of mommy and daddy. And now the student, they're not gay, they're nothing yet. They're a first grader, but they bring in the picture of daddy and daddy, or mommy and mommy.
Right.
And they can't talk about their parents.
And they can't talk about their parents, exactly. And
Which
that's
is a lawsuit.
That's
waiting to happen.
Well, maybe we're not sure where the courts and the law sits on this yet because it's so new. But the point is, to what Evyn you just said, it does set a chilling effect on our community starting at K through 3.
Yeah.
They've created a solution for a problem that didn't exist, but they didn't care about the problem. What they're doing is creating an opportunity where they can rile their base to win elections, and that's what we're watching here.
Yeah.
It's quite tragic.
And continuing to make us the other.
Yeah.
The other.
Right.
Othering is real, for sure.
And now we queer up the courts. And we're going to circle back around to Tennessee here in just a moment. Ketanji Brown Jackson is shutting down transphobic GOP Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee in just 1, 2, 3, 4 words. Watch this.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman? Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about. Just last week, an entire generation of young girls watched as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and beat a biological woman in the NCAA swimming championships. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest levels?
Senator, I'm not sure what message that sends. If you're asking me about the legal issues related to it, those are topics that are being hotly discussed, as you say, and could come to the court.
You know, I bet Senator Blackburn just must be a joy to have around the holidays. The word woman has a pretty simple dictionary definition: a person with the qualities traditionally associated with females. That being said, it's not a legal term. So when Senator Blackburn from Tennessee tried to catch Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson in a gotcha moment, the Honorable Judge Jackson replied in a manner completely fitting for a judge. She replied with 4 simple words: "I'm not a biologist." When the senator attempted to push the issue, Judge Jackson insisted that because the definition of a woman had not been brought before the courts as an issue, that it was not her role to define it. And I look forward to like 30 years of this, of her on the court.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just watched a white privileged Southern woman that is mimicking the Donald Trump playbook of 4 years. Right. That's what we just watched. She watched and watched and watched. She practiced in the mirror to be Donald Trump over and over again. Right. She put it in her Southern slang, and we just watched her ask a question of a Supreme Court justice that's going to be confirmed.
And you know, she is talking, there's more to the clip. The questioning went on for several minutes.
Right.
She says that, you know, this has made turning girls into second-class citizens. Well, first of all, you're defining which girls that you're putting into it. And you're not saying against second-class citizens. You just want to define which people are second-class citizens. I'm pretty sure that would include every single person at this table.
Also, I have to say that the U.S. Senator is staggeringly ignorant, because the presumption that she makes on Leah Thomas winning the NCAA championship, Twitter would ban you if you posted what you just said in Twitter, because it is scientifically inaccurate. And the scientific accuracy has been decided by the sports organization that you're criticizing. The NCAA has made the decision that you're wrong. And the International Olympic Committee all over the world has made the decision that you're wrong. Twitter would ban you for what you said. And most important of all, if we're ever going to listen to any science, the American Medical Association says you're completely wrong. Facts are important, except to you.
And this is also important to know. This woman who says she cares so much about women and girls voted against the Violence Against Women Act, voted against reauthorizing, other bills that support women. So tell me, you don't support women.
She doesn't care about women.
She doesn't care.
She cares about control.
Exactly.
Because that's what they're trying to do.
She cares about people not saying gay.
Oh my God,
or
so
trans.
frightening.
To your point about control, that is frequently identified as a white male privilege.
Impressively, it is. But she's spinning it around. So she's taking it to her own level And I believe that that's something that's like, yay, go women, but you're going in the wrong direction with it. You're using your voice to harm.
Yeah, and I'm just happy we have a brilliant black woman that's going to be on the Supreme Court this summer.
She's very beautiful,
too. And I thought that, well.
She went to my high school, although many, many years after me.
All right, Evan, let's move on to some education, I think.
Awesome. Now it's time to queer up education. Winter Park student Will Larkins says Florida bill is made to kill queer kids. Queer News Tonight has previously reported on the We Say Gay walkout at a high school in Winter Park. One of the organizers, Will Larkins, recently appeared on The Cheddar to discuss their recent op-ed in the New York Times. In the article, he wrote, quote, "We have a mental health crisis in the queer community, and Governor DeSantis and the Republican Party want to outlaw the solution," end quote. Watch this.
I've heard different members of the legislature say something along the lines of parents know what's best for their kids. When it comes to the queer community, that is not true.
And welcome back to Between Bells, everyone. I'm Baker Machado, speaking there to Florida's Senate Appropriations Committee. And in an opinion piece over in the New York Times entitled "Florida's Don't Say Gay Bill Will Hurt Teens Like Me," our next guest and many others within the LGBTQ community and allies desperate for Governor Ron DeSantis just to see reason here. The Parental Rights in Education bill will ban public schools in Florida from teaching about sexual orientation or gender identity from kindergarten through 3rd grade or through 12th grade. That in a matter deemed age appropriate by parents. This bill, no doubt, could have deadly consequences if it's enacted. So joining us now to discuss is Will Larkins, president and co-founder of Winter Park High School's Queer Student Union, and also one of the organizers of its Say Gay Anyway walkout. Will, such a pleasure to have you here. I loved your op-ed that you wrote in the New York Times, and I want to read a piece of it for our viewers. You say, "I have come to realize that those who have been so openly hateful towards me often know very little about the queer community. They thought being LGBTQ was a conscious choice. Education didn't give me a sense or self-worth, but also the knowledge of a community and lifeline there for countless young people," which you're so spot on. You're so correct there.
Wow.
That is a lot. Will is very well spoken, though, and just definitely just goes and speaks the truth, because in the end, I understand it's the parents who are trying to raise their children in the best way possible, but who is telling them what is age appropriate? It's what they're deeming age appropriate, and not by the standpoints of psychological analysis and the psychiatry behind it. Is that if we raise more open-minded children, they're going to be more responsible and better well-spoken, and they're going to be more mature and handle things better in the future. So you raise smart children, you're going to raise smart adults.
Evan,
but you just hit on the nail on the head, why the Republicans don't want them to be any of those things. Exactly. Smart, responsible, well-informed.
Hate stems from ignorance.
Yeah. And that's really the heart of the issue. I'm curious, being a 15-year-old high school student, where do you think all of this is going to go? So Don't Say Gay is getting ready to become the law of the land. DeSantis is going to sign it. It's going to have all kinds of legal challenges, but the legal footing is murky at best. So we can't pray for the courts to step in.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen next? What do you see from your seat?
Because they never established a clear-cut bill, it's all you jumble it up. So it's like, okay, you can't say gay, but this kid is talking about their straight parents, so can we sue them? It's all very murky waters, and I personally do not know where it's going to go, but I'm fearing it's going, especially in the route where if we're implementing it in schools, are we going to have to get rid of GSAs and the gender and sexuality alliances? Because my school doesn't have one to begin with, but I do have an openly gay teacher at my school who's supportive of all that and brings in these kids.
I'm also curious, your high school is?
Northeast High.
In Fort Lauderdale. Oakland Park. Okay. The gayest place on planet Earth, by the way. Wilton Manors, Oakland Park, Fort Lauderdale. I'm curious in terms of what has gone on in high schools like yours and other high schools here in Broward County. From what you hear, or friends that you might be involved with in social media. The reaction of the non-LGBTQ students in high schools, what has their reaction been on what they've watched over the last 2 months?
Most of them don't even know about it. So I'm part of a debate class, and there are 2 queer students, and there are about 15 of us or so in the group. and only 2 of us, including me, knew about it. So it's just these kids, how are they going to have an opinion on something when they don't even know what's going on? Because right now they're focusing on this being very much a queer issue.
Does that mean, right, and I want to follow up on that, does that mean non-LGBTQ high school students you don't think are following this story very closely?
No, they're not at all. We still have, I don't know how they're going to implement this when we still have kids walking around the halls calling each other fags.
There, at Jewish Community Services, we have a program where therapists actually go out into the schools.
Oh, wow.
And one of the schools reached out to the therapist that goes to the school and said, we can't have you come back here. We're afraid that we're going to get sued. So the implications of this go far beyond
the bill's
what
not even
people
signed yet,
think.
and the chill effect is already starting to happen.
It's really
all right.
scary.
Well, let's talk about some sports.
All right, let's
that,
clear
it's
up
got to be a
sports.
great story,
Yeah,
right?
well,
maybe not.
Well, Megan Rapinoe says gay male soccer players won't come out because they don't feel safe. United States soccer captain Megan Rapinoe says that gay male players don't publicly reveal their sexuality because they don't feel safe. She also says she feels that because female players are more accepting, it has opened the door for more openly lesbian players, and that everyone at a game has a responsibility to help LGBTQ plus individuals feel safe. Well, I agree with that. And, there are gay athletes in every sport. There's no doubt. And how great would it be if people could live authentically in their sport?
There's something about the toxic masculinity, and I just think that in those environments, especially when you're dealing with males, it's just a lot harder because of that toxic masculinity and the fear of people coming out. And it all starts with this whole school issue, because we LGBTQ people grow up with a lot of shame. I think it's a very common thing, and then that plays on our self-esteem. And it's shame because of the very thing that's happening now.
Why do we think it is easier? We watch LGBT representation in women's basketball and women's soccer, many related sports.
Misogyny.
You beat me to the punch of my question. Is that what it really comes down to?
Misogyny. I really do believe that as a multiracial transgender woman of color, male to female, there is something about being born male in this world and people perceiving it as, how dare you negate your maleness in a quote-unquote man's world. A lot of gay, swishy, feminine, real feminine gay men go through the same thing. It's that double standard, All
right.
Well, now let's report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine and supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
It's Rachel Maddow and Sunshine Cathedral. That is my queer church.
Well, we're going to finish tonight's, I love Leah, by the way. We're going to finish tonight's queer news headlines with what we call LGBTQ plus flash news.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Orlando Pride, professional soccer team apologizes over rejecting gay signs or gay sign. The big Central Florida women's soccer team is known as the Orlando Pride. You would think with the phrase pride in their name, they would be welcoming of it. Recently, that appeared to not be the case when a fan group known as the Black Swans brought a sign that simply read gay in protest of Florida Don't Say Gay bill. They were asked to remove the sign because it was too political. The leadership of the team issued a statement saying it is a privilege and duty to create a safe, inclusive environment at Orlando Pride matches, and the club deeply apologizes for violating that trust through the incorrect decision. Moving forward, the Black Swans have been given approval to hang the banner at Pride home matches if they wish to do so. Over a 7-year history, the Orlando Pride and its players have been on the forefront of supporting equality initiatives. And I'll just say that sometimes just people make mistakes.
Well, I'm glad they changed their mind on this one really quick.
And I remind our entire community, when people do make mistakes, we have to give the organization or person an off-road to correct, and that is the best way that we create allies. And so we've created a new, strong, they were an ally already, but we've created an even stronger ally in Orlando Pride. And how appropriate that Orlando Pride is a Pride ally to the Orlando LGBTQ community.
Didn't know gay sign had to do with politics, but we learn something new every day, don't we?
Right.
And this wasn't just any group. I mean, they come, they bring drums, they beat the drums, they have all kinds of signs. They're a fun group, and the team and the club is much better off with them in the stands.
Yeah. Absolutely.
LGBTQ plus flash news, gay internet explodes over Zac Efron's latest beach pics. Oh, life's a beach when you're Zac Efron. He is a whole study on millennials. From his young and innocent days in High School Musical to his salty attitude in Neighbors. He gave us scruffy and grungy sexy in the Netflix special Down to Earth. And now, like a fine wine, he's approaching 34 TikTok, with a beach body that puts almost anyone to shame. Quite frankly, we approve. You know, I've interviewed him a few times. We're like this. He's a great guy, but God, it is hard to interview him because you just want to sit there the whole time and just go. 3 more minutes? Okay, that's
well, in case he doesn't know, I'm a cougar. That's all I need him to know.
Yeah, right.
Well, I would say that he is still quite young. So I expect him to have that kind of body.
You know, I think the most interesting thing about Zac Efron, I mean, all of the positive things, let's grant every positive thing. To me, the most interesting thing about Zac Efron, and he's talked about this, is gay men fantasizing over him repeatedly. He has embraced and said, bring it on. I love it. It is a compliment. Thank you very much. And he indicates what an ally he is to LGBT, but especially gay men that are fantasizing him. That's what we need in our allies, by the way. And I love Zac Efron for doing that.
I've seen him since I was very young in High School Musical, and he's definitely matured very quickly. He's almost old enough to be my dad in some places, but you know what? We appreciate his acting career, and you know what? Go off.
I watch John's face as you say that Zac Efron is old enough to be your father.
There is a daddy joke, but Evyn is not old enough for me to make it at this table.
Right.
So.
I
know where it's going, though.
And I was thinking he's young enough to be my son.
Young enough to be my grandson.
Oh my goodness. Okay, LGBTQ plus flash news. First look at hundreds of Florida billboards taunting Governor Ron DeSantis to say gay. Starting Friday, the cities of Tallahassee, Orlando, and Jacksonville will see new billboards encouraging people to say gay. The billboards are being produced by liberal super PAC Southern Progress, and they hope to add more cities soon to protest Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Adam Parkhomenko, a Virginia-based Democratic strategist working on the campaign, tweeted, quote, Ron DeSantis and Florida Republicans have pissed all of us off. So this week, we are going to cover the state of Florida in these, end quote. That is hilarious, plain and simple. Keep it open. Let everyone know that's the message.
I'm thrilled to hear that these are going up in cities where, like Jacksonville, Orlando, not here in South Florida. Erect them where they need erecting.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, erect. How appropriate, erect.
Not my content at all.
I just say this, Ron DeSantis, gay, 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 gay.
Right, and I would say put him up in Panama City, in Duval County, in Hendersonville. I'm sure there's a Hendersonville, Florida.
The one value, I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. I've talked about it, of spending the money for these billboards. But if they're going to spend the money for the billboards, I think there is value in it if it sparks conversation. Why is that billboard up there? And if somebody asks that question and then they start to hear answers, then it's super valuable. My concern is, for the most part, they won't. In LGBTQ plus flash news, John Duff gets our attention selling us LuLaRoe leggings. I had never heard of LuLaRoe leggings. Yeah, LuLaRoe, okay. Well, this is not news, but we're gay. And this is Queer News Tonight. So sometimes having fun and being thirsty is more important than news. Evyn, welcome to Queer News Tonight. It's Happening Out featured John Duff's Hokey Pokey as our best thing of the week. In that song, he sung, quote, you put your whole tongue in and you take your whole tongue out, end quote. And well, you can look up the video for the rest of what happened in that video. Meanwhile, we're reporting on his new Instagram post where he proves that yes, there are fries with that shake with some fast food themed leggings. Being a reporter and anchor at Queer News Tonight, this is actually, to many people's surprise, sometimes among my most famous or favorite things that I get to do. There's nothing about this that warrants being on Queer News Tonight except that I enjoy it.
Scandalous. Scandalous, I suppose, but no, LuLaRoe leggings, they're, I don't know, I know a lot about them. The fabric's very soft and it's on a very attractive man, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
This is so great. Go watch the whole post. It's totally worth watching. Follow his feed. He's great. And also, if you get a chance, watch the Prime documentary, Amazon Prime documentary that was done on LuLaRoe. It is it's so scandalous and so compelling to watch as television. It's great and definitely worth your time.
All right, now you hooked me.
Wow. Well, you got me curious. I got to check it out. I'm going to definitely look at the video. And I actually think they're cute. I think the leggings are cute, you know?
They have whole different prints and everything.
But see, he starts getting into like tongue action and stuff.
Alrighty then. I think that he can keep his leggings. No, thank you. Now, LGBTQ, see, you got me all riled here. LGBTQ plus flash news. Free Brittany as U.S. reps meet Brittany Griner for the first time since their Moscow arrest. Watch this.
Ned, before you go, as of right now, U.S. basketball star, two-time Olympic gold medalist Brittany Griner remains under arrest in Russia. She was detained on these Russian allegations of drug smuggling at a Moscow airport. Customs officers say they allegedly found vape cartridges with hash oil in her carry-on. I should note, Russia has a history of making false charges. Have you been in contact with Russian officials on Griner's detention most recently? Are there any updates you can share?
Well, Poppy, as you know, our ambassador was summoned to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Monday, where in response to Russia's message to him, he delivered a very clear and candid message that we expect consular access to detained Americans in line with Russia's international obligations under the Vienna Convention and our bilateral agreement on consular access to detained Americans, including to those Americans like Brittney Griner who are in pretrial detention. And what I can tell you, within the past couple hours, an official from our embassy has been granted consular access to Brittney Griner. We were able to check on her condition. We will continue to work very closely with her legal team, with her broader network, to see to it that she is treated fairly. That is a message that we will continue to convey in no uncertain terms to the Russian Federation.
Just an update for her family, if they're watching, or her wife. How is she? What is her condition?
There's only so much I can say, but what I can say is that our official found Brittney Griner to be in good condition, and we will continue to do everything we can to see to it that she is treated fairly throughout this ordeal.
Well, we appreciate that. Ned Price, thank you for the news on that front. We appreciate your time this morning.
U.S. Embassy officials were finally granted access to Brittney Griner on Tuesday. Many have expressed concern that the openly lesbian women's basketball star was being held under false pretenses by the Russian government. Griner is a two-time Olympic gold medalist and plays for WNBA's Phoenix Mercury. She was arrested in February at a Moscow airport. Russian authorities have accused Griner of smuggling a narcotic substance. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years in prison. Well, I will just say that only reason they probably even went after her is because she's a 6'9" tall lesbian athlete and she's black. If that was not the case, she would have zipped right through.
You know, I think the issue is very broad, that this is a situation with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and a response to America and Americans becomes a bargaining chip. And she has been to Russia many, many, many times. She has international and worldwide experience from the Olympics and traveling all over the world. She knows better. So this story stinks to high heaven, given the timing of what's going on in the Ukraine. And then the other thing is, it is just one more in the endless number of Russia and Putin stories that are just sickening the entire world, not the least of which is what's going on in Ukraine. Russia is a speeding train to some kind of disaster, and while this is a much smaller story, it's an example of what's going on in the thinking in Russia.
Scary.
No, I question the validity of the story, and I question why they were holding her for so long there, but it's just, as you said, it's bargaining chips. They're just trying to play into the war.
I take issue with the wording that the State Department officials said. She is in good condition. That doesn't really tell us anything, you know, and they don't want to inflame the Russian justice system any more than they have. At this point, given the Ukrainian invasion situation, she is either a hostage or a prisoner of war, one or the other.
Yeah, that's strong, and I totally agree. Al, too, I want to piggyback on you. That's what I thought. I said, this is really fishy here. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they planted it and they're using her as a pawn. I mean, we're talking about Putin's Russia, okay? And, like, can we believe anything that's coming out of Russia now? So, anyway, LGBTQ plus flash news. Governor Ron DeSantis now makes his own culture war swimming rules. The Florida man, Ron DeSantis, was very upset this weekend when transgender female swimmer Leah Thomas from Penn State won the NCAA Division I swimming competition. Thomas, who is the first transgender athlete to win any NCAA D1 championship since trans athletes were accepted into the competition in 2010, beat out Sarasota resident and University of Virginia swimmer Emma Wyatt. Last year, DeSantis signed legislation banning trans women from competing in sports at the high school and college levels. And on Tuesday, he doubled down on his transphobia by signing a proclamation that Wyatt is the rightful winner of the competition. this whole thing with Leah, God bless her, and listen, I'm a trans woman and I wish her all the best, but I'm just gonna say this. I'm all for equity and equality for trans people, but I'm also about fairness.
I think that Ron DeSantis thinking he can crown a new winner is ridiculous.
Wait, production is telling me in breaking news today, Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a new proclamation declaring the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the winner of Super Bowl 56. They have beaten the Los Angeles. Congratulations, Tampa.
Wow.
Right?
Congratulations. That's insane. Can we please just leave Leah alone?
Right.
Let them compete, because it's not about, he doesn't care about women's sports. He cares about the politics of the sports.
And becoming president of the United States.
Oh, please, God, no.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if I were Wyant, I would be mortified to be name-checked in a hateful, politically driven declaration signed. Unfortunately, I don't know that she is, because there was a sad picture that I saw where she was on the winner's podium, and the next three finishers were all looked about 10 feet away from her, posing for their own picture. And it was just heartbreaking to see.
Wow.
Well, that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates and share the news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
And if our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of the Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including, and I'll pause here, Evyn Almanzar, congratulations.
Hi.
You'll be a footnote in Wikipedia. You were the first teenager ever to anchor Queer News Tonight in a regular broadcast. Congratulations
that's so
to
exciting.
You. And anchor John Hayden and Cindy Brown and Rajee Narine-Singh.
Namaste.
We will see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we end our show, we would like to present one final story.
We're going to queer up the big interview. Tampa Pride President Kerry West discusses Tampa Pride 2022. Recently, Queer News Tonight sat down with Kerry West, the president of Tampa Pride, to discuss the upcoming event. Tampa Pride is this Saturday, the 26th, and they'll be turning Ybor City into Gaybor City. Find out more in this great interview. Watch this.
Well, next up, we have a very special interview at Queer News Tonight. It has been a long pandemic for the LGBTQ plus community. That is why excitement is so high for this coming weekend in Tampa. Tampa came to the Pride celebration movement much later than the rest of Florida because of a city commissioner that existed named Rhonda Storms, an anti-LGBTQ plus stance that she created in the city. The modern Tampa Pride only came back in this last decade, and largely due to my special guest, Kerry West. South Bend had an LGBTQ plus mayor named Buttigieg. Tampa, and specifically Ybor City, had an honorary LGBTQ mayor named West. He created a coalition to oppose the anti-LGBTQ plus sentiment in Tampa and helped carve out a gayborhood in Ybor City with hundreds of business allies called Gaybor and the Gaybor Coalition. As its president, he put Tampa and Ybor City on the world's LGBTQ plus map. He moved on to lead Tampa Pride, and this weekend, one of the nation's first major Pride celebrations coming out of pandemic will occur, showing our pride in a festival, parade, and major concert, and, you guessed it, right down historic 7th Avenue in Ybor City. I'm very proud to welcome to Queer News Tonight, Carrie West. Well, good evening, Carrie.
Hello!
You know, in full disclosure to all of our viewers, I have to say, Carrie and I have known each other since the cigar makers came from Cuba at the beginning of the last century. And I'm talking about 1900, not 2000. We've known each other for
1873. Don't count the years, though, Al.
So
Don't count those years.
We've known each other for a long time, and in full disclosure, I suspect, although I've never been able to get it out of you, you are older than me. I suspect. That's going to be the story I always tell. Carrie's older than me.
Yeah, I burned my stand on the stove, you know. Al always had the stove going, but I learned from Al. I burned my fingers, so I'll tell you, girls.
All right. Well, Carrie, exciting. You must be busy as all get out this week. Tampa Pride coming back again. Must be very special to you coming out of pandemic the way we are, that you're going to be able to hold this festival, parade, and the Saturday night party. Tell us a bit about it. Let's dive right in. What are you going to be doing?
Well, let's dive in is right. Hey, the 8th annual Tampa Pride. And it's so nice because last year, the 7th year, it was the first Pride parade since the COVID in Tampa. And we had just thousands of people. We wanted to have like around 60,000, but there was like around 85,000 people showed up. So it was quite the party last year, and we had a great time. And also we had just so many events going on, and we're increasing it. Now that's our mayor, which happens to be a lesbian mayor who is helping out in all avenues, our Mayor Jane. And so we've had so many efforts and so many things appearing. We were in an event out there that we had the first parade in Tampa and the only parade in Tampa last year due to COVID. But we have so many other things that are happening out there. We have our events that we have out there include our festival events that are health and also our wellness parade area out there. And that kind of includes the hospitals of Tampa. And they come out there and showcase and free health screenings from major hospitals. We have over 40 health clinics. We also have the area out there for artisan fairs. We have a food truck alley, and then we have over close to around 180 different festivals, just vendors coming out there. Then we drive into the great big area of the huge diversity parade. And we have last year we had over 160 units. This year we're going to break that probably by another 180 units in the parade.
Amazing. That is
now
amazing.
That just tells you something.
Yeah.
People want a parade, and they don't want to let it pass them by.
That's exactly right. They want to celebrate, and we're going to talk about the parade in more detail. But Carrie, help everybody understand why this festival is so special. You said something that just pulls the air out of my lungs when I hear it. This is the 8th Tampa Pride Parade. You go to cities where their Pride parades have been 40 years, 45 years. Tampa was famously held back in terms of LGBTQ support. Well, we give the example of Rhonda Storms. But it took a long, long time to get the recognition to be able to have a Tampa Pride Festival and Parade in Tampa. Tell everybody that don't understand this why it took so long and how hard the fight was to celebrate Pride in Tampa.
Now, if you can imagine going into your library and a person takes their daughter and they see a book by Tennessee Williams and they said, you know what? That book, who's this Tennessee Williams and why is it so around with rainbows? And that was the daughter. And they said, oh, well, that was a homosexual who wrote this book, daughter. And we shouldn't have this because it's explaining what a homosexual is. And that was the start of a Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioner. And they went through all the different places. And these were not jeopardizing books. These were great books that you read as in high school.
Right.
You read them in, yes. And there are many ones from all the way from Langston Hughes, and these are books that you just kind of came and read normally as required in classes. But she was very furious about it and said, well, we're not going to have any of the books going to be on the shelves of the public library, and thus we're also not going to celebrate, we're not going to promote or finance and acknowledge anything LGBT in the county of Hillsborough.
Yeah.
And they went and brought it.
Carrie, I want to focus on that.
This was
the decision of Tampa and Hillsborough County specifically of financing meant we're not going to provide any fire or police protection for a festival or parade that they would do for any festival or parade in Hillsborough County. They specifically made the decision we're not going to allow policemen to provide paramedic support at a public event.
Or can you use a public park in the county?
Gary, it must have been a shocking thing as being the board president of Tampa Pride, with everything that you have fought for in Hillsborough County, to watch what we have watched in the last 3 months in Florida. It must give you a little shudder up your spine that it feels like we're doing the exact same thing in conversation all over again in terms of the oppression of LGBT and why our prides are more needed than ever with what we're watching in Florida.
Just the fact that you have to be who you are. If you can't be who you are, and a lot of the students and a lot of the younger people today say, well, we can be and go to any bar we want to. But guess what? You can still be kicked out of that bar. You can be acknowledged and said, guess what? You're going to be disinvited and not be invited to this bar. And the challenges are happening right now in Tallahassee, and also are known and being taken care of as of in today, which are going to be probably one of the scoops of today, saying, guess what? The winner of the marathon and swimming marathon is not going to be recognized, and we're not going to give that person the award for being an athlete. We're going to bypass that person and say, no, I'm sorry, you're disqualified, even though you're a great athlete, and we're going to go and give it to the second place winner, as the governor did today.
Yeah.
What a discrimination.
Yeah, it's interesting, and absolutely. And Carrie, you've been fighting in Hillsborough County in the Tampa Bay area for like 6-7 decades, I understand. And
I'm following your footsteps there. Listen, you're 12 and my 6.
and your efforts in Tampa have really paid off. You talk about having the only parade in 21 in Hillsborough County, and this year you're going to have this gigantic festival. Can you remember in all of the time that you have been such an advocate for LGBTQ in Hillsborough County and Tampa Bay, where a pride has been more needed with the combination of what we see in Tallahassee and for our governor coming out of COVID pandemic? Can you remember a time in all of your advocacy where pride has been more needed than it is March 26th weekend of 2022? Can you ever remember a time where it's more important?
I bypassed what we did in Florida, and I'm thinking about other counties around the country that say, can we please have a pride in our little small town? And I'm thinking, yes, let's support the small areas. And, being on the Interpride board and helping them around the world, we go through there and people take challenges all the time. In their small little town, they are going and using their abilities to provide a pride and knowing that it's possible a death sentence for them. Yeah. And we stand up hard and want to promote them, but it's their choice of death or possibilities of going to prison for life and being tortured. Now, this is not America. And all of a sudden now this is coming back to the United States. This is just unbelievable what's going on. And these things are going to only go further and further. The next step is going to say, you know what? We did allow for having adoptions for gay and same-sex couples. That will now be starting to be, the walls will be coming down. The next thing that's going to be happening is, well, is it really a challenge? Do we really, is that even part of it? Same-sex marriage. Is that going to be possible? That will be being torn down. Stop it at the beginning. Don't let this happen, because this is affecting you now. Not tomorrow, but now. And so this is the only way to do it, is to go and make it happen now. And so who can happen, and how can it happen, and how can it be stopped? You're the ones that make it happen. And this is only because if you don't take it happening and stop it from happening, it's going to be affecting your young people choices, your brothers and sisters that are now in grade school, high school, and those beyond. You know, we hear from elders all the time that, you know, I wish I had the courage of what your generation. It's not our generation. It's just that you have to pick up that footprint and move forward and saying, that's where we began. You know, it's the members of 1969. It was the people that said, you know what, we have to start somewheres. And this is where we began. And so the 50 years later, we are moving forward. We are lucky to be sitting in these steps and you get on the air right now. Showcase
exactly
this.
Right. We are so lucky in terms of being able to do that.
The plugs aren't pulled yet, folks.
I hear your call to action, and so many people talk about modern prides, our big social events and parties, etc. But at the heart of the reason why we do this is to increase the visibility, to provide support in our community and our allies, and certainly what's going to happen this weekend in Tampa. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is there's this conversation going on that prides are becoming longer than a single day, that they might be month-long celebrations in a particular month. What do you think about that? Is that something in the future for Tampa? Are you talking about it, or are you pretty comfortable with the footprint that Tampa Pride has in Ybor City and Hillsborough County and Tampa Bay?
Oh, no. We have Tampa Pride is now growing to, we're 365 because we now have our spring Tampa Pride event. We also have Tampa Pride on the river, which is in the fall. We're going and working with Tampa Pride and are working also with Tampa Pride in the Christmas time era. And that was somebody. You just never know who's in this building. Sometimes there's ghosts.
Right.
There, that's it. Sometimes it's years and years, but no, we're growing all the time. You know, we look at it this way. Tampa, you know, was a small, quiet town that got big. A lot of Florida towns happen to be that way. And Tampa happens to be one of them. We are falling on the footsteps of the champions and being champions both academically and in sports, in the football professional leagues, and also medically, you know, in the challenges of growing in the technology of medicalness, and now also in the diversity, and also moving forward in what we are championing and what we're doing right now in the community. Yes, that's how we grow. And everybody's coming together in all different avenues. We have everybody, and even in religion. That is kind of a great point. And like last night, we did have the interfaith pride services. And we had Buddhist, we had out there Muslim, we had Catholicism, we had on there Christian, and we had out there Jewish. And this is a great way to just show all the diversity of being who people are, no matter if you're LGBT. And that was a great crowd last night, by the way. Very great.
It's also great. We always joke, we're sitting down here in South Florida and we call ourselves the gayest place on planet Earth. Affectionately, we make that joke.
We heard about that.
Yeah, our city mayor is gay. Your city mayor is LGBTQ. Which city is better? You want to go on the record for LGBT? Which city do you like better? Fort Lauderdale or Tampa? Is it? You're going to say Fort Lauderdale, aren't you?
Where?
Right. Let's wrap up and talk about how much fun we're going to have. I'm coming up. Kitty Meow's coming up. It's going to be on your main stage. Faye What's coming up. We're coming because in Roku and Apple Television, we're going to be on 7th Avenue broadcasting the Tampa Pride Parade in Roku, in network television. How exciting that is going to be.
On the second floor.
On the second floor and
the first floor.
And the first floor. And
also down the alleyways.
Yeah. Well, that won't be a broadcast. That's going to be something else. But tell us, let's do a little recap. This weekend for everyone that's coming up, a huge contingent of people are coming up out of South Florida to come to Tampa for the weekend. Friday night's event, tell us real quick what you'll be doing Friday night.
Well, this is going to be very interesting. We're doing a first of a kind. I mean, it's coming across the country. You've seen Pose or you've seen Legends. Right now, we're going to be doing a mini ball. It's going to be held at the Cuban Club. And in that night, we're going to be having, as a judge, we're going to be having Aja is going to be one of the, from RuPaul's Drag Race. She's going to be one of the judges that night. And she also is one of the houses. And furthermore, it's that big Vivacious Pink secret party, and that's going to be a wonderful night there at the Cuban Club, and it'll be a true ball right there in Tampa.
So Friday night for the ball. Then
and also the bars all up and down 7th Avenue will be famously busy.
Wait, there are bars in Ybor City, really?
Not just that, we have a club.
A club, right? And Saturday,
many clubs.
You're going to many. Carrie and I have spent many a long evening in those clubs. And then Saturday during the day, the festival is going on. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is one of the major airlines, kind of Edelweiss Airlines, is bringing over close to 75 to 100 journalists are going to be coming in from Europe, and they're going to be here for the week, and they're going to be seeing what LGBT is all about in the Tampa Bay area. And they're going to be here at the Pride Parade. They're going to be here at the diversity. But that day is going to be starting 11 o'clock. We got our rebel rousers, as I call them, and also then our political leaders. And they're also going to have some of the speakers at 11 o'clock, and that kicks off the Tampa Pride Festival. And that goes from 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is the kick-in to the Diversity Parade, which is going to go for 3 hours down 7th Avenue, and it's going to be packed with people. And but also along with that, you can go down there in the side streets in the Cuban Club area, and also in the HCC in their festival area, and it's right next to where the parade is going to be on 7th Avenue.
And for our listeners that you might not be aware, Ybor City, imagine it like South Beach, with the South Beach Art Deco buildings on both sides of ocean. That's what Ybor City is like. So it's a perfect location for this festival and parade. It makes it a lot of fun, and there is a huge diversity of bars, restaurants, things to do on 7th Avenue in Ybor City. And then after the parade, you have a big party at the Cuban Club. Tell us about that.
That's right. We're going to be going, and it'll be all day. We have 2 stages in the Cuban Club courtyard, and one inside, one outside, and there'll be performances from our DJs, and also, you know, we have our Kitty Meow's going to be also hosting there, and we got Candy Muse, and also Aja, and also our Matt Salve is going to be coming there, and we got a lot of hosts and everything for the day. We have close to around 80 different acts inside and outside on stages throughout. And it'll be fun. And it's going to go from 11 in the morning till around 11:30 at night. Yeah. So then after that, then you can go tackle all the other bars and showcase them. But it'll be a fun night. It's going to be open into the stars.
I have to tell listeners, if you've never been to the Tampa Pride and Parade and Festival, you've got to go. I've been in the parade myself many times.
I've seen you there.
I've sat on the balcony with Carrie West's husband, Mark Bias, and we have drank through the parade many times. And I've experienced the festival and parade in many different ways. And one of the top reasons besides it being a fantastic festival event that you have to go to, is the weather is almost guaranteed to be perfect. It
is. 70 degrees. How about that? Light breeze on the streets and pathways.
Exactly.
But it's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be wonderful. And please give our regards. You saw Mark Bias, and he's an institution in of himself. He walked in for a moment and cut in on Carrie's shot. And of course, we forgive them because Mark and Carrie have been together for more than 50 years. So deep respect for their efforts.
Our days of kindergarten, we still send our kindergarten teacher the postcard. Okay. We did make it. We did make it. Right. Yeah.
You know, it happened now. We have lie detectors, and when we no. All right. Well, it sounds fun. We are all looking forward to coming up for the weekend to Tampa. First big festival event in the United States for the LGBTQ community.
And they come from across the country. One nice thing is we invite you to come, but we get great numbers from Houston and also coming in from Atlanta. Great numbers from Atlanta, Orlando, South area from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Key West, and then also from, as I said, from Dallas. And I've even seen Al. Al's been there before. You know, I can't say how we got him out, but how did we get you in?
Well, we want to thank, at Queer News Tonight, we want to thank the Vice President of the Tampa Chamber of Commerce, Carrie West, and no, only joking in terms of promotion. You don't want to miss it. If you're in South Florida, you want to plan to come up to Tampa this weekend. It's a very special event. The combination of the events and the weather and the LGBTQ community and the history of Ybor City, it is a magical mix of everything that we want to see in the community. Carrie West, we wish you all the luck. It's going to be amazing, amazing. All of these stars are aligning. When all of this terribleness that we're watching in Tallahassee is going on, the LGBTQ community is going to stand up this weekend in Tampa and say no, and we're going to show you why. And we're going to show you showing our pride. Congratulations to you.
Thank you much. And we want to say also our praises and thanks and prayers to those in Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
West, thank you very much for being with us at Queer News Tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Al.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure